Hey everybody, welcome to another Sunday Night Live. So as usual, before we start, I'm going to check, make sure I'm live. I don't see myself yet on my end, so let me see. Just want to make sure I'm live. Before we start, I'm going to check, make sure I'm live. All right, perfect. We are live. All right, so let's get this Sunday started, and let's just have a conversation real quick about lending changes, about housing revisions in which Zillow reported, and also about down payment assistance programs and so much more. So, all right, let me take this music off and we'll jump right into it. So first, as usual, what we'll do, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, let us know in the comments if you're watching on a replay where you're joining us from. How did you get over to the channel? Thankful that you did make it over here, and hopefully if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like the video as well. It helps to push us through the algorithm so that we are in the same motion as far as any other real estate content happening on this platform that allows you to learn more in regard to what is happening in the real estate industry or the housing market, as you guys would like to know. Also, at the end of this video, there might be a shooting star looking button below that is called a hype button. And if there is on this video, please also hype the video outside of just liking it. It helps to push us through the algorithm some more. That way, more people can join us in this discussion over on these live videos every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we will not be here long tonight, but we're going to jump into it right now. So I appreciate everybody who has joined us tonight, and let's just jump right into it. All right. First, let's just talk about the mortgage rates. If you're currently looking to, if you currently are in the market right now trying to purchase a home, if you're currently trying to sell a home right now, as we know, according to Mortgage Daily News, News Daily, sorry, the conventional 30-year fix is around 5.99, 15-year conventional 5.6, jumbo 6.26. The ARM is 5.33. The FHA 30-year is 5.62. The VA 30-year is 5.64. And again, these rates are national rates. So with that being said, it means that this is where nationally where they're kind of bringing in the medium average of these rates. But again, it depends on you as a person and also the layers in which you have your debt to income ratio, your credit score, and all those different factors. All right. Hey, what's going on? Greetings, Miss H. Hopefully you're having a wonderful Sunday. Thanks for joining me on this live tonight. I appreciate you. All right. So that is what mortgage rates are looking like as of right now. As you guys all know, we might see them stay stagnant. They might fluctuate up and down as they typically do daily, weekly, monthly. All right. So the next thing we want to jump into is lending changes. If you guys are currently buying a house with cash and different things like that, I am not a lender. However, this is what's happening lending wise, according to FinCEN. And so we'll read a little bit about it. So you guys understand if you are in the market as of right now. Hey, what's going on, David? Thanks for joining. Appreciate you. All right. So again, I'm not a lender. I'm a realtor. However, it's always great to stay abreast on what is happening in the industry. So this is why I bring you guys this information. So as you guys don't know, if you, right here it says, if you are buying or selling real estate this year, there is a new federal rule you will need to understand. Starting March 1st, which is today, certain residential real estate closings will trigger what is called a FinCEN real estate report. In plain terms, this is about transparency in cash transactions involving LLCs and trusts. And so she says, let me break it down. And I'll give it to you guys in two ways. We'll break it down with her. And then we'll also break it down with the closing attorneys and my brokerage, because they also sent us a report in regards to this happening as well. What is FinCEN? FinCEN is the part of the U.S. Treasury. It is a job. Its job is to fight financial crimes like money laundering. For years, regulators have believed that residential real estate can be used to move or hide money, especially when property is purchased through a legal entity rather than an individual. That is where this new reporting requirement comes in. It says, what is the FinCEN real estate report? The FinCEN real estate report is a short filing that title companies must submit after certain closings. It applies mainly when the purchase is residential real estate. The transaction is non-financial. We'll just keep her out the way. Non-financial. The buyer is a legal entity such as an LLC or certain types of trusts. The purpose is to identify the real people behind the entity purchasing the property. If you are buying in your personal name and using a mortgage, this does not affect you, according to her. But we'll make sure we'll clean it up to it with the closing attorney sent out on my in our brokerage as well, because just to make sure we clarify everything. If you are purchasing with an LLC or trust and paying cash, expect to provide more ownership and control information. How this impacts buyers: if you are an LLC or trust, if you use an LLC or a trust to buy property, you need to prepare early. Basically, you'll need to give up more paperwork. They're going to need more things in regards to if you are buying it with an LLC, a trust, any type of entity, corporation, hedge funds. They'll need more paperwork. Title companies are responsible for determining whether the report must be filed. That means when they request documentation about who owns or controls the entity. If you wait until the last minute to provide this information, you could delay your closing, that is why they're saying if you guys are currently in the process, if you haven't yet, but you had the idea that you were going to purchase in a trust and LLC, your realtor might hit you with some more information along with possibly the closing attorneys. If you have a closing attorney in your state, maybe the title company might hit you with this, stating that they need more documentation. In a competitive market like we see here, and this particular person is in Tennessee, says if you are selling and you receive a cash offer written by LLC, this is something you need to factor into your timeline. Most cash offers look clean and simple, but under this new rule, some may require additional reporting before the transaction is fully completed. That does not mean the deal is bad. It means you need to understand the process and build in the right expectations. The bigger picture, the change is about increasing transparency in real estate transactions where ownership can be layered or hidden. It does not affect every buyer. It does not affect most finance purchases, but it does affect a segment of investors and entities-based buyers. The key is preparation. So she keeps on going with this, and I'm going to stop sharing this real quick, and then I will share the other thing in which our brokerage sent me as well. Hold on, actually. 1 second. Sorry about that, you guys. I just want to give you this information. If you are currently purchasing and if you are looking to buy in the LLC or a tag it. Hold on. Is this going to move over? No, it's not. Okay. Maybe it's not going to work this way. Let me see something. Oh, my screen is not moving over. Okay. I might have to just make this little. Sorry, you guys. I was trying to make it a little bit bigger, but it's not. And it's going to be all up in mine. Let me put giraffes here. Auction. Here we go. All right. No, it's not going to work. Sorry, you guys. I was thought this was going to work, but it's not going to work. So what I have to do is I'll probably have to read it to you off of this, and hopefully you guys are okay with me reading this. And Hey, Ms. H, sorry, did I freeze? This one thing about this StreamYard that I'm using, it freezes a lot. It's not the best streaming source, but I try my best. Clark, how is FHA rate lower than VA? Do you know how that works for the market? I don't know how it works for the market, so I don't want to tell you a lie. Typically, you usually do see that VA is lower than FHA. However, we're kind of seeing things kind of change around, but I'm just taking a guess here. Do not use my words, but maybe because with FHA, you're putting some type of down payment down. Outside of VA, you're not putting a down payment down. So maybe that's why we're seeing a lower rate there, but do not take my words for that. I'm not a lender. I'm just taking a guess. But typically you're stating, Ms. H, you would see a VA rate lower than the FHA, but we're seeing the opposite now, as you can see. So when someone is buying and paying in cash means they are watching closely and maybe where the money is coming from. Is that what that is? Yeah, so basically what they're doing now is they're trying to crack down on it because, as you guys might not know, there have been a lot of purchases by drug money, money laundering, different things as far as criminal activity that now they're trying to lock down to see who exactly is purchasing. Where is the money coming from? Getting more clearer and documentation to understand, so we don't have a lot of money being smuggled or smuggling as far as things when it comes to purchasing a home nowadays. And it said you are froze. Am I still froze? Let me know. Hopefully I'm not still froze. And the other part I'm going to read because for some reason it's not popping up. I'm just going to read what they said in this one. Because I can't get on my screen for some reason. It says the purpose of this rule is to increase transparency in real estate transactions, deter money laundering and other illicit financial activity. Since LLC and trust purchases are common in Georgia, which you guys probably don't know, it is a very common thing in the state of Georgia. I don't know how common it is where you guys are at. David said you are unfrozen now. Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you, David. And then, hey, Dad, how you doing? And all right. Let's just see whatever. Okay, it says so I can give you more and insight with this FinSyn thing. Purchasing an LLC in a corporation, a partnership, or a trust. It says if bought without institutional financing, i.e., cash sale, hard money loan, owner financing, trailing deeds, if the transfer is from an individual to an LLC, etc. So even if you buy the property and you say I'm frozen again, but sorry, you guys. I apologize. This is StreamYard. It has nothing to do with me, the Wi-Fi. But if you can hear me, I appreciate you sticking around. It'll probably go in and out of being frozen throughout the live. It's just horrible StreamYard, unfortunately. And so what'll happen is just say also if you bought the house and say if you bought the house initially with a financing, bought it in cash initially as an individual, but then you try to switch it over even into an LLC or into a trust, you will still have to provide these additional documentations if you decide to switch it as well. So even if you don't buy it up front in an entity or a corporation or a partnership or a trust or LLC, and you decide to buy it as a personal property, but then switch it over to that, you will then encounter this as well when you're doing that transfer as on that back end as well. It says the reporting rule still triggers. That it said what information must be reported to Syntech. It says property and transaction details, information about the entity or trust purchasing the property, identification of all the entity's beneficial owners. So it says individuals who own 25% or more of the entity or exercise substantial control. So if someone owns 25% or more of the entity, or if they own or any owner in the entity will have to report as well. It's stating beneficial owners must provide their full legal name, date of birth, current residential address, and taxpayer identification number, source of funds for the purchase, including bank account information. Says who files the report. The closing attorney will be the designated reporting person, and they're saying closing attorneys because this is in Georgia. So on your end, it depends on if you're in a closing attorney state or a title state. I'm guessing the title company might file this information. I'm not sure if you're in a title state, but if you're in a closing attorney state, the closing attorney will do it. Our office, talking about their office, will handle that. Delays in providing documentation, of course, could hinder the closing. Confirm early if the buyer, so this is what they're telling agents and brokers to do, confirm early if the buyer will be purchasing through an LLC, corporation, partnership, or a trust. Advise buyers upfront that the additional documentation identify information will be required. Encourage buyers and sellers to have their organization documents together, ownership, X, Y, and Z. So that's a little bit about the FinSyn trigger rule. So if you guys know anybody that's trying to buy in cash and they're utilized, and they want to put their stuff in a finance entity as far as trust, LLC, etc., they will have this extra documentation. And then even if you buy it in cash and try to switch it over later, you will have to go through similar thing as far as that documentation. All right, next thing we are going into is we're leaving the lending changes. So that's something about financial part as far as purchasing. And we're going to jump into real quick. We're going to jump into the housing revisions as far as Zillow. They revised their housing forecast. So we'll see what Zillow is saying right here. It says Zillow revises its home price forecast across over 400 housing markets. See the map. All right. It says Zillow economists just published their update 12-month forecast projecting that the U.S. home prices as measured by Zillow Home Value Index will increase plus 0.09% between January 2026 and January 2027. That's a mild downward revision from its 12-month forecast published last month, which was plus 2.1%. So they have revised it down. Just seeing how slow the market is trending right now. The stagnant, how home prices kind of being stagnant. Maybe depending on where you're located, home prices are trending down. Maybe where you're at, again, they're staying flat. And maybe where you're at, depending on your market, you might see a slight increase, but it's not a super jump like we were seeing during the pandemic times. No one is jumping 50%, 30%, 75%. As at its latest reading, U.S. home prices as measured by Zillow Home Value Index are up plus 0.2%. Zillow's latest forecast expects prices to remain close to that pace. While Zillow's national home price forecast isn't negative, it isn't exactly bullish either. They are calling for a soft national housing market in 2026, one where national housing affordability may improve slightly as U.S. income growth outpaces U.S. home price growth. So my whole thing is about the income growth part here. I don't see no increase in income, but I could be wrong. I'm not seeing an income increase. But again, I don't work a traditional job, I guess you could say, so I might not be seeing it the way other people might see. So if you guys are watching this video currently and on the live with me, let me know if you possibly seen any increase in your pay, any type of promotions, or if you're watching on the replay, let us know in the comments too if you're seeing that increase in your income. All right, so let's say they're going to say, so they right here, this is showing us a map as far as Zillow forecast for metro level home price between January 2026, January 2027. It's showing you as far as where they're seeing the increase at 4.1% year over year in Hartford, Connecticut. They're seeing a decrease over year 4.1. Austin 2.9. So every market is different. You just got to tune into your local market and talk to your local realtors. Among the 300 largest U.S. metro area housing markets, Zillow expects the biggest home price increase between January 26, January 2027 occur in these 15 metros: Rockford, Illinois; Atlantic City, New Jersey; Syracuse, New York; Knoxville, Tennessee; Hartford, Connecticut; Norwich, Connecticut; Green Bay, Wisconsin; Morristown, Tennessee; Rochester, New York; New Haven, Connecticut; Concord, New Hampshire; Pottsville, PA; Appleton, Wisconsin; Wausau, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Wisconsin; and then Janesville, Wisconsin. So that's where they're saying they're going to see an increase as far as housing year over year. Among the 300 largest U.S. metro areas housing markets, Zillow expects the biggest home price decline between January 2026 and January 2027 occur in these 15 metros: Huma, LA. I think it's Louisiana. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Lake Charles, Louisiana; New Orleans, Louisiana; Lafayette, Louisiana; Alexandria, Louisiana; Austin, Texas; Chico, California; Shreveport, Louisiana; Beaumont, depending on how you say it, Texas; San Antonio, Texas; Boulder, Colorado; Punta Gorda, Florida; Nevada, Denver, Colorado; Corpus Christi, Texas; and Texarkana. I think I forget how they say this. Texarkana, I forget. People say it all the time, and I keep messing up every time I say it. But you guys know what I mean. So that's where they're saying they're going to see a decrease. As U.S. home prices as measured by Zillow Home Value Index are currently up plus 0.01% year over year. If Zillow's latest 12-month outlook plus 2% comes to fruition, it will represent a small acceleration nationally. And then it's talking about below as parts of like Florida, as we all know, the Sunbelt places as far as right now is the epic center of home market of the weakness when it comes to housing. For some reason in Metro Atlanta, Georgia, the housing market is the prices are slowly adjusting down, but it's taking a lot to adjust it down. And as you guys know, in the past conversations we had, it's just a lot of other variables happen right now as far as people who purchase between 2021 and 2024, or you could say 2022, 2024, that are trying to get out the house. They barely can get out of it, so they're having to overprice their listings to their house right now just to try to hopefully break even, or maybe not having to bring a lot to the closing table. And then we're having, unfortunately, people are passing away. We're also seeing, divorces, things happening, people having to relocate. It's several different factors. It's just so many factors. I'm seeing bankruptcy happening, short sales happening down here, foreclosures popping up, pre-foreclosures popping up, less pendants. Just seeing a lot of different things popping up, and a lot of it is some of the local investors per se, some of the ones that bought between 2022 and 2024, or they're still kind of playing around in the market right now in 2025 into 2026, because it's taking longer to sell. These local mom and pop investors might be on hard money loans. So a lot of their 1-year construction loans or whatever, they're coming due, they're going into foreclosure, and then in turn it's popping up, and then they turn around, they pay off whatever fees are owed, then it pops out. So the numbers with foreclosures right now are up and down, and some of them are not solid because a lot of these are investors who are just late on payments, and then they find some way to go maybe do a loan mod, put things like kind of, do things or whatever. So hey Debbie, how you doing? It's been a minute. Yes, it has. I'm glad that you came over here to join us. Hey Croy, he says, Clark, I'm sorry I'm late. How are you? How's life? That's okay, no problem. It's okay to be late, no worries. Life is okay. I'm hanging in there, getting by day. It's starting to get warm down here, so I'm excited about the weather change. Hopefully you're doing well as well. Hopefully life is treating you good, as with everybody that's on the live stream tonight. Miss H, did you just say an increase in income? Yeah, that's what they're stating in the articles, that people are seeing an increase in income. That's why I'm asking people, if you're on the live tonight or if you're watching this on a replay, let me know if you're seeing an increase in income. Let me know if you're getting any type of raises. Let me know what's going on around you. Like I mentioned plenty of times on this live, I have several friends around me who unfortunately did not get an increase. They unfortunately got a layoff. So they lost all their money, and they're still searching for jobs. And some of my friends did find jobs, but they took a pay decrease to get into those positions because they have to make out and pay their bills, right? Even the people that are in the gig economy, if you guys don't know, people doing DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, and everything, they're having a tough time too, right? Because as people are losing their jobs, and kind of flocking into these fields and these positions now just to make sure they can be able to maintain their living and pay their bills, it's now squeezing everything very tight, where people are not making enough money. So people are now flocking from these positions as well, looking for regular stable jobs. And that's why I'm seeing people taking lesser income, lesser salary jobs, I should say, just to make sure they're making some type of income to be able to pay and sustain their bills and their living. She says, where is their increase in, from whose job? Because I don't see any income stuck at the same level. Yeah, I don't see any either, Miss H. I don't see any either. So I would love to know where this income increase is coming from as well. I heard hard money loan. What do they mean when someone get the type of loan? So a hard money loan is typically more investors kind of get hard money loans. So a hard money loan is basically, hold on real quick. Uh-oh, my screen just froze. Did it freeze? Am I still live, you guys? I'm on my end. I'm like, it's like, okay. Hopefully I'm like, so a hard money loan is typically like a short-term loan. It's like an asset-based type of loan secured for like real estate purposes, again, for like investors, fix or flips, quick like acquisitions or some type thing. Is almost like an unconventional, it's not unconventional, it's almost like a conventional loan, but it's not similar. So it's like it's shorter terms. Like I said, a lot of these investors down here with the hard money loans, what they're doing is they're taking them out for like a year. So it's like a shorter terms. It has higher interest rates. Typically, I'm trying to see how much I can kind of say. I feel like that's all I could give you. I think if you talk to a lender, they can kind of give you more. But the typical basic of hard money loans is like higher interest, typically shorter terms, typically maybe like 6 to 24 months. Like I said, most investors get them because they typically have like a 1-year loan, and within that year, they're either possibly trying to refinance it. If they fall short, they typically find a way to talk to that lender, possibly to do a modification or do something on them. But that's really, I think I could really tell you about hard money loans. I don't, a lender can kind of give you a little bit more breakdown about it if that doesn't make sense. Oh no, I'm frozen again. I keep freezing, y'all. I'm so sorry. I so apologize. I'm not trying to freeze. Oh, thank you, David. I appreciate it. Looks like only one person is getting an increase in pay. Well, I appreciate it, David. Thank you. I appreciate the increase in pay. I really appreciate it. Thank you. He laughing. I'm like, I just got David. Because of David, you guys, I'm able to make more money this year because of David. David said hard money loans scare me. Yes, they scare me as well. You just have to be very, you have to understand how they work. You have to make sure you're okay, especially if you're doing real estate, renovating real estate, fixing, flipping real estate. Just make sure you understand the terms, the rates. You have those I don't want to say carryover fees, but you can sustain those, I guess you could say, holdover fees throughout the months while the house is trying to sell. Because again, the interest rate is typically higher. So with the rate being higher, it's a nice big bill that you're gonna have to be paying if you don't get the house sold quickly. So it just got to make sense, especially in this market. Understand what you're doing, understand how you're positioning the asset, which is the property, when you're trying to sell it through after doing renovations and taking that hard money loan out. She said it's hard money for a reason, usually emergency need for money before closing. Yes. It's hard money, like Debbie said, it's hard money for a reason. So and those lenders, they're going to come after their money. They want their money. It says with mortgage rates down slightly from their cycle high, home prices falling in some markets, and incomes continue to tick up, at least faster than U.S. home prices. Here goes that thing about incomes ticking up again. Again, thanks to David, I got a raise today. So I guess I saw a little income tick up today. Housing affordability is a bit less strained heading into spring 2026 than it was heading into spring 2025. Indeed, a new Zillow analyst shows a medium income U.S. household can now afford $331,483 home, an improvement of $30,302 since last year. So they're saying, I think you kind of pair that with if you are seeing a slight income increase, but also depending on where you're located, if you're seeing a price adjustment in homes, right? If homes are slipping down where you're located at, if they're going from 450 to 350, well, that's a big gap. Well, some homes are going $100,000 down, but if you're seeing a 450 to 400 or 450 to 390, and you're seeing a slight increase in your income, I can understand where that affordability might jump in at now, because you're able to, with the price adjusting down and your increase in your income, you're able to afford. I could see where this the difference of 30,000 could possibly come in. In addition to improved affordability, that also reflects the continued inventory recovery, with 6% more homes on the market in January than a year earlier. There the nearly 447,000 homes as medium income household could afford today represent 40% of the listings. All right, so that is what they're talking about on Fast Company, and also when it comes to Zillow. And so I also want to talk about, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but lately there has been a search online in regards to people saying they can't sell their houses. This has been a talking point that I've been seeing kind of go through the web, as far as people saying can't sell house searches or hire more now than during 2008 housing crisis. And this article might clock out on me because I don't pay for the website, but it says struggling to sell your home, you're not alone. Google searches for can't sell house have reached record levels, highlighting a predicament many homeowners have faced in recent years. Searches for can't sell house are higher now than during COVID-19 pandemic and the 2008 financial crisis, according to Google. So I don't know if you guys have anybody that you know, or you particularly, if you're selling a house, have you been online Googling can't sell your house and trying to figure out ways that are effective to sell your house? Says the uptick in searches follows a year when sales of existing homes hit a 31-year low. High home prices and elevated mortgage rates kept many aspiring home buyers on the sidelines and many homeowners from selling their properties in 2025. That led to desperate sellers to either cut their asking price or take their homes off the market entirely. And I did see that in 2025 as well, where a lot of home sellers decided to take their houses off the market, and now they're trying to list them in the spring. I think a lot of them are going to be very surprised that, depending on where they're located in this metro Atlanta area, that the prices have either gone down or they stayed flat. So I think they probably might have been at a good advantage if they just kept it on the market, because the houses that kind of stayed on the market longer, what I noticed is that they finally got sold, because eventually someone's going to buy it, right? Eventually a house will sell. It's just up to you. You can't predict when it's going to sell, right? We don't know who's going to be the buyer of said property. And that's what I was telling one of my real estate colleagues, that she's newer in the business. And I was like, we got to understand that the only difference when it comes to working with a real estate agent nowadays is what their work ethic is. How do you connect with them personality wise, and their network, really. Other than that, we all use the same tools. We all connect. If we're on the MLS, we're all putting your listing in the MLS. We're all using the IDX technology that outsources it to Zillow, Redfin, all these other these third-party platforms. We all can utilize photographers to take pictures, right? We all can utilize them to make videos as well. So really, when it comes down to it, when it comes down to using a real estate agent in this particular market, it's really about what their work ethic is. How hard are they willing to work? How consistent are they with you as a consumer or a client? How transparent are they? How honest are they with you? It's really comes down to a personality thing, right? But other than that, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing else really, as far as where I look at it at. So I find it very interesting when agents come in, and I see it happen a lot when they come in, they sit down and they tell the seller, "I will get your house sold in 5 days," and it's like, okay. It's like I don't lead with that, because I can't promise you how quickly your house is going to sell, especially depending on if you understand your market, if you understand what's going on, if you put the days on market in front of your client. You let them say, like, if this market is indicating that it's taking every house around here 100 and something days to sell, then I can't come in and tell you that I'm gonna sell it in 5 days. So I don't work like that. But I understand the tactics in which people utilize. But so that's just not me. But I noticed that a lot. Debbie said, "I'm scheduled to go to my closing March 11th. Fingers crossed." Yes, congratulations. I wish I had some sound effects like Jen and Jackie, but I don't. Congratulations, Debbie. Congratulations. Are you excited about going to that closing, going through this process? Is this this is not your first time? I believe you own are you selling your house? I'm guessing. Oh, here we go. Next one. I'm selling, by the way. I was just about to ask this question. Not buying, moved already, now rent. Okay, so you're renting. Okay. So what made you want to step out and go from selling to going to the renting phase? I'm seeing a lot of people doing that. They did that a lot down here in Metro Atlanta area as well, especially when the home prices were really hot and they were high in price in value. A lot of people stepped out, they sold their houses and they went into renting, and some of them are still renting, or some of them decided to jump back in now and purchase. So David said, very true. Yes, it's very true as far as when it comes to, like I said, realtors. That's how I look at it, but I don't want to step on no one's toes. Debbie said, "I found an amazing listing agent. She went above and beyond to get it on the market and sold it in 5 days." Oh, that's so funny. And I said, they said they sell it in 5 days. That's so funny. Well, I'm glad that you were able to get it sold in 5 days. And again, it just depends on how you position the listing in the market, right? Depends on the agent that you're working with. Don't overprice the listing. And as long as you listen to the agent and you look at the data in which they present you, and they tell you, like, this is what I'm seeing. Because us as agents and just as consumers, now, especially using Zillow and all these other third-party websites, Redfin and all this stuff, you guys can see the days on market as well, right? You guys can see if you're really focused on selling your house or buying a house. You guys can see what price points are, if a house is set at a certain price point, how quickly it moves, or how it doesn't move if it's set at the wrong price point. You guys can tell by the photography online. You know, if a house is positioned correctly, if it's priced correctly, if great pictures are taken online, because that's the first place where people show up now, is to see things online, right? Prior to even going to see it with an agent, and pray that it looks like that in person once you see these pictures online. If everything goes according to the setup, then you should be good as far as when it comes to getting that house sold or buying a house. Debbie said the only thing that an agent can promise and should is to be honest, post on the RE sites to be sold. Exactly, Debbie. And this is what I'm saying in regards to that. That's the only thing an agent should promise, right? We cannot predict what is going to happen in the future, and we cannot predict when your house will sell. Some people do get lucky and they can possibly sell in one day. Like, I work with a buyer client, the person put the listing on the market. And in 2 days, he went and saw it. He liked it, and we went under contract in 2 days. So you can't predict. And then I had a client who had listed their house, and it took us about 67 days for it to go under contract. So, and you can't predict what's going to happen. And I see a lot of people even too, like, say they worked with an agent for a year, right? And the agent did all the great things they could do. They updated them out the market, took great photography. I see it all the time. Wonderful photography, wonderful videos, great marketing, send stuff out, had open houses, did all they could do to possibly get the house sold. The house expires. That seller might feel like, oh, this agent didn't do nothing great for me, even though they did so many wonderful things and made sure they did their job the right way and helped them as much as they could. And then you get another agent that comes, grabs them up and says, I can get your house sold in a month or something. And then they put the house on the market, do the same thing again, but this time it gets sold. However, that doesn't mean that the first agent didn't do a great job to get your house sold. It just means that it just happened at the right time, and that's the thing about real estate. We can't predict when things are going to happen. We can't predict how quickly it'll sell, how quickly somebody will buy. You can't predict it, right? So I don't want to, badmouth any other agent, especially in the market that we're in right now, because we can't predict what's going to sell. So, yeah, that's my third house I've owned. The first completely by myself, first with mom and sis, second with hubby. Okay. Well, congratulations. I'm super excited for you. Glad that, you have decided to, I guess, exit out of the housing market right at this moment and finding a way to kind of live and maybe, decide to come out of renting in the future and possibly buy again. But there's nothing wrong with renting. I know some people will say, oh, why rent when you can own? It's nothing wrong with renting. Excuse me. Everybody has their own, everybody has a thing of what they want to do, right? So, but congratulations again. I had already estimated it at 150. She agreed, and that's what it sold for, almost 50% down and no contingencies. Wow, congratulations. Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Like you said, being able to already see where you're at, understanding what the market is showing you, indicating it, the agent coming in, agreeing with you, understanding the data, and that's how you make it make sense, right? So I love wonderful sellers like yourself, Debbie. If I could get more people, and I have, as I said on these lives recently, I had sat down with several sellers. Unfortunately, it's like I've become like the Grim Reaper of the listing agent lately, because I'm going to these sellers, particularly because a lot of them bought within the last couple years, and I'm going to them having to let them know, like, oh, you can't get out of this house, you're underwater, you owe more than what the house is worth, and you have to bring money to the closing table. So now I feel like when I step into a listing presentation, I'm looking like the Grim Reaper with like all my papers. I'm coming with like all the comparables, all the data. I'm pulling like tax records, because I'm like, sometimes we don't always see what closes on our MLS, because some people nowadays, what people are doing too, they're doing like, and they've been doing it for years, but off market selling and different things like that. And then now we're seeing like more seller financing. So of course it's hard to get that data, because typically what happens with seller financing or subject twos, I should say, the people are sweeping in there, and some of these aren't getting recorded, so you can't see it in the tax records. And people, the owners are moving out of the house, and then that person is coming in as an investor doing subject two, and they're paying the mortgage. But people don't understand. You got to be very careful with those subject twos, because if the mortgage lender finds out about it, it could be a due on clause. agreement inside those contracts, which means that that loan could be due on clause if that lender finds out. So be very, very careful. Very, very careful, people. She said, I am in a cheap senior apartment complex I may own again, but at my age, it would have to be all cash. Okay, I understand what you mean. Say you're mean, or I know I am like the mean realtor. I'm like, oh, so bad. When I come in now, I feel like the Grim Reaper. I'm like, but yeah, it's okay. My mom did something similar to Debbie. She sold her house in Georgia and she moved back up to Philly. She's in the senior building, and she's renting now. So, you know, you never know. And she's similar to you when I talked to her about that as well. She said if I bought now, it would have to be in cash as well, just because with her being a bit up in age, she's like, I don't want to have a mortgage, which makes sense. But yeah, so I'm like the Grim Reaper now, y'all. Sorry when it comes to listings, unless you've owned it for a long time, unless it's a second property to you, unless it's paid off, then I'm the good guy. But if you bought recently, I'm coming in with the papers in hand and the data, the information, and you're like, leave, get out. I just want to be transparent because, like I always tell people, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. And I want to make sure I don't lead you on. It's not about leading you on. It's about getting your house sold successfully and getting you out according to what we're seeing data-wise on the market, and making sure you don't have to bring no money to the closing table. So it's saying, like, to be clear, Google Trends doesn't show exact volumes of searches. Instead, it estimates how popularity of a word or phrase has changed as far as back as 2004 when Google, now Alphabet Google. So basically what they're saying is that this trend is popping up, and it's popping up a lot, but it's also it's showing the difference between the times in which the trend existed. I guess that's what they're trying to say here. In parts of the country, it is taking longer for sellers to find a buyer. Nationwide, homes are sitting on the market 8 days longer than a year, said Amanda Peloton. Zillow's estimate says, I guess, is down 4.35%. Home trends expert. Homes that are priced and marketed right are finding a buyer and go under contract in 47 days, while homes that miss the mark are lingering for a medium 88 days. So this is what we kind of talked about. If you price the home right, it's being sold. If you don't price it right, it's taking longer to sell. So you just have to understand the market. And I got a daggone, sorry guys, it's a random gnat flying in my space. Debbie said, I only had 15 years loan and was already over 10 years. I bought at a good time, and the loan is under 20,000. I expect to easily clear $100. Wow, congratulations, Debbie. Congratulations. I know my mom, before she sold her house, she had refied down, and where she was at a 30-year, and then she refied down to, I think, was it a 20-year? I think it was like, no, it might have been 15-year. I don't know. She refied down because basically it was like the payments were similar when she refinanced down. But again, congratulations. Fingers crossed. Everybody's sending great energy to Debbie that this closing will happen. It will be successful, and you will be able to move on with that cash in hand. David said, it is unfortunate that some people put down renting. In many cases, it makes more financial sense. One example would be vacation homes. Exactly, David. I don't know why people slam renting. I'm like, it's okay to rent. You have to understand who you are as a person, your financial, what do you want to do with your finances, understand your financial stability. There's so many different layers. So it's so crazy when people put down renting. It's okay to rent. It's okay. Hey, Lang, what's going on? Not on, should be one. Okay, did I miss one? I guess you must have re-corrected something that you said. It's not over until we leave the closing table, right? Yep, it's definitely not. It's definitely not over until you leave the closing table. You get home, you check that bank account, and you make sure your money has been wired over. But we know that it's going to happen. So congratulations in advance. And we love success stories. We love that people can still say that if you price everything right, if you work with a great real estate professional, if you're not crazy and insane in the membrane, as they used to say, with where you want to price your house at, and you're seeing what the market is trending, then everyone can enjoy success. So we love success. Exactly, Davis. Exactly. So before we get out of here, there's one last article. And the reason why I'm popping this one up on here is because I've talked to so many millennials, Gen Zers, who work regular 9-to-5 jobs. I've had, consultations with buyers, and it's always sad to hear that they feel like their American dream is getting out of grasp for them as far as home ownership. They feel like home ownership has now become a luxury and not something that is affordable for them based off of their income levels and what they're making financially. Even if they have saved thousands of dollars to own a property, some of them feel like it's hard to do so. So that is what, what's happening? So that is what this article is talking about according to Bankrate as well. And then I also want to make sure, great show. Thanks, Clark and David, of course. No problem. Thanks, Debbie, for stopping by. Appreciate your time. And David is the best as well. So if you guys haven't already, you guys got to go over and subscribe to David Matney, living in Omaha, his YouTube channel. And we're going to put it up at the end so you guys can make sure you subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. He said, I really think the future is going to be multi-generational housing. I agree too. I think more people will kind of span over to multi-generational living housing. As you guys might know or might not know, a lot of other foreigners kind of already typically do that. People who are of Latin descent, some Spanish people do multi-generational living. Some Asian people as well do multi-generational living. And we have few but far in between of Americans. I feel like America it was a country in which it's like once you get a certain age, you need to go out and do everything yourself and get your own stuff, right? And so a lot of us haven't been able to live in that sense of a multi-generational living, a grandparent in the house, a mom in the house, a sibling in the house, or some things like that, because more people, we have been taught to get our own in this country, and it's kind of looked down or frowned upon if you're not successfully having your own. And then also, people feel like you want to have a family in this country, so they don't do a lot of multi-generational living. But we do. Again, if you go to some Asian cultures, they have their family in the house, but also the mom lives in the house, the dad lives in the house. So it'll be interesting as we move forward. Debbie said, I'm hoping to find a shared community of some kind. That this apartment is okay, just a long-term deal for me. Wish me luck to have a successful. Yes, we wish you luck and on a successful closing. We wish you luck on your the apartment search that you're looking for as far as that shared community of some kind. Best of luck, and we know it'll happen, because why? Because as long as you put it out there and you stay positive, nothing but positive things can happen to a positive mindset. So it's gonna happen. David said, unfortunately, so many young people are shut out of the housing market. Exactly, David, and that's what this article is saying. So I'll read a little bit of it real quick. It says Julie Shears and her boyfriend want to buy a house. The housing market in Charlotte, North Carolina just won't let them. They run into the same wall as millions of Americans. Too few homes that they can afford, and too much competition for the ones that are in their price range. And that is what's happening, right? The ones that are in the lower price range, they are giving you a little bit more competition. The one that are priced right accordingly on the housing market, the ones that are moving ready, especially for younger people who don't want to go in there and put that sweat equity in to kind of do the work to bring the house up to par, because they feel like if I'm buying a house for $500,000 or $250,000 or something like that, I don't want to go in there and have to go and put $20,000 worth of sweat equity work into the house. So when they find those houses in a lower price range that are moving ready, that that they don't have to put any of that sweat equity into or put that extra cash into, then that's when you're seeing the competition kind of swoop in, and it's getting harder and harder for younger people to purchase. Like many first-time home buyers, a 29-year-old loan officer quickly discovered how steep the cost of home ownership has become when she has started house hunting in May. If you told me a year ago or two that I'd be spending $500,000 on a house, I would have thought you were crazy, Shear said. But now it's like, oh, that's not bad. That's a good price. Everything is definitely really expensive. So they're saying now $500,000 is a great price. LOL, just not a long-term deal about the apartment. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure you said it's just not a long-term deal. You want a top of like a shorter term deal with the apartment. She said, and most of America's largest cities, homeownership is now a luxury item that may that many cannot afford. A new bank rate analysis of real estate and income data shows that anyone earning the median U.S. income will find themselves priced out of 3 out of every 4 U.S. home markets. It says a big reason why, and so they break the big reason why. They're saying like homeowners who bought with the ultra low mortgage rates are not putting their houses on the housing market. They're kind of stuck. And then it's also saying that the builders haven't kept up with the building demand since the Great Recession. And so the only thing I would say about the building demand, I feel like, well, where I'm at in the Sunbelt State in Metro Atlanta area, it's a lot of building going on down here. But every daggone house down here is like $400,000 or more. I feel like, and I know it's regulations, I know it's rules and zoning, blah, blah, blah. Sorry. But I feel like, how do we allow for more affordable homes outside of just building townhouses and trying to stick more houses on a piece of land to try to come up with, I guess they're trying to make money, right? Again, I get it. It's housing, it's building. They need to make some type of money. They need to make a profit, right? But how do we kind of pull back and we say it's okay, instead of us making $150,000 off of this, it's okay for us to make $30,000 off of this, right? And I think that's where it's going to have to come in at, where those numbers, and I know these builders want to make a lot of money because they do have other, they have. I understand this too. It's always two sides of every coin, right? Understand that these companies also have employees, and the employees need to get paid, and the employees might have certain salaries, X, Y, and Z. So I get it. But how do we create margins that make sense for everybody, where employees get paid accordingly, where people are able to effectively own houses that are not super expensive and unaffordable, and at the same time, they also do take home some money for their company as a builder. So that we gotta meet hand in hand, right? Let's go down here. Just talking about the same thing, the American dream as far as housing affordability. And then we're going to get down here because similar stuff we already talked about. So, and this is going to be another couple down here, right here. All right. It says it took over a year for this Pittsburgh couple to buy their first home, even in places considered havens, for first-time buyers like Pittsburgh, where roughly half of the listings remain affordable. Competition has intensified in recent years. Allison Dunbar, a product development coordinator, and her husband, a business analyst, began house hunting at the end of 2022 in Pittsburgh, but they found themselves reportedly outbid by investors or seasoned buyers. Between 2022 and spring 2024. They made more than 20 offers, all which were unsuccessful. When you're trying to buy a home for the first time, it's hard to compete, Dunbar said. It doesn't feel like a shiny, picturesque experience. It felt like an extra job for the most part. They luckily their luck changed in 2024, in the spring of 2024, when they viewed a $250,000 home on a rainy Saturday. Only like 6 people walked through. As she said, they made an offer at the asking price, and this time the seller accepted it. The couple used Pennsylvania's first-time home buyer program, which offers down payment assistance and closing costs, but it involves more red tape for sellers. All right, so as you can see, people became successful as far as making an offer. And this kind of puts me into my last thing, which this topic says down payment programs. So a lot of people are exploring the options of down payment programs. Again, it's always great to also talk with a lender when it comes to these options as well. Some realtors might know of some down payment programs as well when it comes to their area, the state. If you guys don't know the state, excuse me, your state, some states offer down payment, typically offer down payment assistance programs. I'm sorry, y'all. Offer down payment assistance programs. Some local institutions might have access to some down payment assistance programs. As far as local institutions, maybe like local banks, credit unions might do their own down payment assistance programs. Wells Fargo's has programs. Bank of America has different programs. So you can talk to lenders about any possible down payment assistance programs. You can talk to search online in your state what type of down payment assistance programs are accessible. You can ask your realtor if they know of any. And excuse me. Croy said, Clark, location matters too. I could buy a house for cheap or cheaper than Omaha in Alabama, but I don't want to live in Alabama. Exactly, Croy. And that also is the same thing too, right? Depending on location. That's why a lot of people are moving like to the Midwest, moving to certain parts of the area, because it depends on where you live at. It's cheaper. So it just depends. Most people don't, like you said, don't want to live in Alabama, right? Most people might not want to live in Ohio or different things like that. So it just depends. And then also trying to be able to find a job that's suitable in those areas that make sense for you financially to support that purchase of that home, if you're not working remotely. But when it comes to down payment assistance programs, you guys have to be mindful. And this is what I tell buyers, right? Be mindful of the down payment assistance programs. As I always tell people, nothing is free. And so understanding the down payment assistance program, if you're going to utilize it, some of them might come with a sense they might be forgivable, non-forgivable. If it's forgivable, it means that maybe they have a certain time period on it, right? After 5 years, your loan is forgivable. It goes on there as a second, a silent second, and it's forgivable in 5 years, but you can't move out the house for 5 years or you'll have to pay it back before then. If it's non-forgivable, that means no matter when you move, it's not forgiven. Also understand that even sometimes if you utilize grants that is free money as for you for down payment assistance, closing costs, it might come with the sense of possible higher interest rates. So you have to understand, maybe if the interest rate is telling you you got pre-approved for, let's say, FHA loan and your interest rate was 6%. But if you utilize this down payment assistance program, because of that program, the rate has to be higher. So it might go from a 6% to 6.5%. I don't know. So just understanding like the down payment assistance programs, understanding the whole thing behind it, right? We have people that in Georgia, they have a thing called Georgia Dream. You have to understand that program. A lot of people utilize that program, but in Georgia Dream program, the down payment is not forgivable. So when you go to sell your house, if you borrow $7,000 from them for down payment, $12,000 for them for down payment, you have to pay that back. And so if there's no equity in that house when you sell, or literally there's no appreciation in the house or some way, somehow, and you're barely getting out of it, it might be harder for you to get out of it utilizing that program. Also, another thing that they have with the Georgia Dream program is called tax. What is it called? A recapture tax that you might have to pay back as well. And it goes in the form of a parament, which is like the first year 20%, second year 40%, third year 60%, fourth year 80%, fifth year 100%. Then it goes back down the ladder again until like the 9th year. After 9 years, I always tell people 9 years in a day, the recapture tax kind of gets removed and different things like that. So understand the down payment programs. Understand if, when utilizing them, the full context of them. Does it make sense? Because sometimes down payment assistance might not make sense, and then sometimes you might not qualify for it either, depending on the guidelines, the income restrictions. Everybody doesn't qualify for down payment assistance, but even if you do qualify, it might not make sense for you to utilize it either, because if it's not forgivable and you see yourself moving within 2 years or something, you might not have no type of equity kind of, in that house. So it might not make sense to utilize the program. And even if it is forgivable and you're moving in 3 years, but it takes 5 years for it to be forgiven, it might not make sense, right? So you have to assess stuff accordingly as far as utilizing down payment assistance programs. Are you okay with might possibly taking a higher interest rate to utilize the program and get the free money? So it's all based off of you as a person, understanding the program fully, understanding what it comes with, understanding the different things that you're taking from it, right? And that goes the same even if you're trying to buy down an interest rate, do a buy down, different things like that. Of course, you want to have more conversation with the lender. You want to have more conversation with the program that's offering the down payment assistance, so you can understand how to effectively use it if you're going to use it, or if you're going to buy down your interest rate. Understand all these things, because again, it might not make sense depending on if you see yourself moving in the next 3 to 5 years. Again, as we see currently, depending on where you live in at, the home appreciation is softening. It's not appreciating how it did during the pandemic time. So if you buy now, you might only see a 2%, let's say 5 years from now, you might only see maybe 5% appreciation increase, or maybe 10%. You're not going to see a 50, 75, 100% equity increase in your house. So understand these programs now up front to put you in a good space going forward when you're trying to possibly sell in the future. Okay, so that is all we have tonight. Hopefully it made sense. Hopefully we got some stuff out of it. If you are just joining us now, go back to the beginning. You missed some pertinent information when it came to financing going forward as buying cash and putting your stuff in an LLC or a trust. You want to be mindful of that information. So go back to the beginning of the video, watch that if you haven't already. I want to thank everybody for joining tonight. And if you haven't already, our friend that joined us tonight, David Matney, I want you guys to go over and give him a subscribe, watch his videos as well. You guys will not be, hold on, right, let me make sure I got you. There we go. You want to go over to David. Oh, is this your son right here, David? Sam Matney, is that his son? Oh, wow. I'm like, I think, is that a new picture or was that always there, David? I'm like, oh, how cool. That's so cool. So does your son do real estate too? I'm like having a whole conversation with David. But yes, go over to David's channel on YouTube, Living in Omaha, David and Sam Matney, Nebraska Realty. He said, yes. Oh, wow. How cool. That's so cool. Thanks again, Clark. Make it a great week. Enjoy your show. Yes, thank you, David, for tuning in. Yes, go over to David's channel. Subscribe to his channel. You will not regret it. It's great information. He goes live every Tuesday. It's 8 p.m. Eastern time on my time, and Central time and everything would be, I guess, 5 on Central. Wait, no. West Coast time is 5. Central time would be 7, right? I'm messing up my times now. But yes, go over there. Give him a subscription, watch his videos, tune into his lives. You will not be disappointed. It is new, pretty excited to have help. Yes, that's so cool. That is so cool. That's so cool that you have you and your son. I was like, wait, I never saw that banner before. That's why I was like, wait, is this a new banner? He said, I love the conversation on the side. Yes, I'm like, it's so funny. But all right, you guys, have a great Sunday, and I will see you guys next Sunday. Take care, and don't forget, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel and join us every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, as we talk real estate and what's going on in the housing market.